It is 6:03. I want to call the Morgantown Monongalia Metropolitan Planning Organization Policy Board to order. First order of business, we're going to open up for public comment. Is anyone here who would like to speak? No.
You have one back there.
So if you could just give us your name and address. If you could just give us your name and address. And then
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I think most of you know me. I'm Mary Ann Foles, and I live at 828 Bloody Run Road. I think most of y'all know I'm running for County Commission. But I wanted to talk about two things today. First one is Greenbag Road roundabouts. I know that is a touchy subject in general. I know that the plans are moving forward, but I just wanted to make sure that you all had completely thought through this before, the shovels hit the ground. I did speak at the County Commission meeting about this as well, and was suggested that I come here and talk to you, so that's why I'm here. The thing that I wanted to talk about was the amount of money and time that this is going to cost these truck drivers if we try to encourage them to take that route. So I've done the math, and the additional cost to them, and I'll talk about some of the details in a second, but the additional cost to them is going to be if they took 3 routes a day, round trip routes a day, from the Rear Limestone to the Seneca Center, which is about where half of them go. It would cost them an additional $3,000 a year on average in diesel fuel. It would also cost them an approximately 3 additional weeks of travel time. And I don't know how much these guys make, but presuming they make somewhere between $40,000 and $90,000 a year, that is a 9 to 12% pay cut. So I think that before you move forward with this, I just think you need to think about, are you willing to ask these guys, that's my phone. Are you willing to ask these guys to take that kind of a pay cut? Who in this room would do that? I mean, I wouldn't, and I seriously doubt that any of the rest of the folks in this room would do that. So that's the first issue, is that time and money for these guys. They're all independent drivers, and they're not going to want to take that pay cut. So the other thing I did, I followed them to find out where they were going. I followed some of them all the way up to the Pennsylvania line. I followed some into Westover. I followed a lot of them to that location. So that's how I know, where they're going. The other thing I wanted to point out is I decided to talk to some of them. Now, if I would go to talk to them as saying, hey, I'm going to be potentially an elected official, they're not going to be open with me. But if I go talk to them as just a person in the community and I say, what do you think about this? I have not met a single one who has any intention of changing their driving route. So we're going to spend $30 million and probably 5 years of time to get these guys, to try to convince these guys to take this route. And they have no intention of changing their route. So in 5 years, or however long it takes to get this done, we're going to be in exactly the same situation we're in now. And I, as much as you, don't want these trucks going through downtown. And it's, for the most part, it's Walnut Street and Pleasant Street that are impacted. But there could be other ways that we could be looking at doing this. Powell Avenue is actually a good truck route. Brockway, not so great. But potentially changing the direction of the roads downtown in terms of what's one way and what's not. That might send them another route, maybe down Kirk Street or something. Before we, like I said, before we put shovels in the ground, I'm just thinking that we should take one last look at, is there a different way to do this? And then I did want to point, you had mentioned at the last County Commission meeting 2 weeks ago that the voters voted for this. And what the voters actually voted for at the time that the vote for, what was it called, Roads to Prosperity at the Roads to Prosperity, the actual design for Greenbag Road was still turning lanes, which is what the majority of the public still wants. So what people voted for was turning lanes. They didn't vote for roundabouts. And most of them still don't want roundabouts. So you're going to have a lot of people who are unhappy. You're going to have a lot of people who are going to be delayed, and you're still going to have trucks going through downtown 5 years from now. So I'm just asking, think about another route, because 5 years from now, you got no excuses. You can't go back and tell the public, hey, we thought they would use it. No, you don't think they're going to use it. If you've done the math, if you followed them, if you talk to any of them, then you know they don't intend to. So that's my thing. Sorry for being a little flustered. I just kind of ran in here a little fast, so I'm a little still out of breath. So, but thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak at the public comment period?
I don't want to speak, but I do want to introduce myself while I'm here. I know a lot of you are around the table, but my name's Craig Walker. I have a business address at 400 FCX Lane, which is in the Chaplain Hill Business Park across from Mile Park. And I'm head of our association. Just wanted to hear more about the roads and so forth. We have 15 businesses in the park that have different traffic needs and access needs than schools and the park and some others. I'm a little conflicted because Ron and I spent a better part of this morning at Milan Park Executive Committee meeting, but I just want to hear what's going on with it and impress on you all. We do have a full business park with 15 businesses that have some unique needs. So just here to listen, but wanted to introduce myself to those that don't know me. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public comment portion? Hearing none, we'll close that session. Next agenda item, approval of the minutes. These have been provided to everyone previously by Bill. Thank you. If anyone would like to make a motion?
I'll move we accept.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any not in favor say nay. Okay, next agenda item, committee reports. Is there anyone to report on the Citizens Advisory?
I'll report. Mr. Bilson could not make it. The agenda items have been reviewed by the Citizens Advisory Committee. We did have a good attendance at the meeting, and they did recommend approval of the PRT TIP amendments that are before the group, before the policy. So it's there. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Bill. Next item, the finance.
Our balance at the beginning of May was $106,621.96. We had one deposit during that month totaling $2,617.06, 21 disbursements totaling $55,727.26, leaving us an ending balance in May of $53,511.76.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
We need a motion to approve.
Yep.
Move to approve the
Move to approve.
report as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Report from the Executive Director.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, I would like to congratulate the City of Westover and extend a thanks to the West Virginia Department of Transportation for applying for a RAISE grant to do a planning and design study for Fairmont Road. And it's I believe the amount's $1.4 million to do a very thorough study and to involve the public in designing improvements to Fairmont Road through Westover. And that's essentially from the Pleasant Street Bridge to almost the interstate. So that's an exciting prospect, and I want to congratulate the City of Westover on receiving that grant. And the grant process, as we're learning with other projects, is kind of slow, but the state and federal highways will be in touch with Westover as well as the MPO to work with us on that. So congratulations to the city of Westover. We're very excited about that. I will also go ahead and give a quick update on the electric charging station study, and we'll go ahead and knock that item off of the agenda. The draft plan that was shared with the policy board at the last meeting has been publicized. We had our first virtual public meeting on the topic and did not get great attendance. In fact, we didn't get any attendance, even though we did promote it pretty heavily on social media. We will be holding another virtual meeting, and if we're not successful in drawing some, at least, attention from the public about that, we will see about scheduling a in-person meeting at a later time for that. This is not a crucial study, but this is a good study for us to test various ways of reaching out to the public to address that issue. So we've been working diligently on that.
Could I ask a question about that? I received a strange email yesterday all about this, and are you aware, this is what the person said, that the greater Morgantown area has no EV charging stations, and then stated that Weimer Hyundai said they are not hooked up because the county refuses to allow that. The county will not give permits. Do you know what's going on?
I have not heard about that. I saw an additional email that said Rural King for some reason.
Yeah,
did not
Rural King was another one. Which said, okay, so...
Yeah, we know nothing about that.
Okay, thank you, okay.
And our study is simply an inventory of existing facilities.
Right.
It's not, at this point, any kind of implementation plan.
But there is no county body that's sending out, refusing to allow...
None that we know of.
Okay, thank you. That's, okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. We also did have an inquiry about the completion of the Beechhurst, ongoing Beechhurst project. I spoke with the Division of Highways this morning about that, and they anticipate that the project, for all practical purposes, will be completed by the end of July. There may still be some punch list items and a little bit of additional impact for that, but the overall goal and anticipation is that that project will be completed by the end of July.
Thank you for giving that information.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to. Also, I would like to address a comment that was just made concerning the Greenbag Road project. We did have a meeting when the project started out with the truck drivers, and at least a fair portion of them did indicate that they would be interested in utilizing Greenbag Road as an alternative route. And their logic on it was that the current route is very twisty and turny, the road is in poor condition, and it's difficult for them to drive through that area. So at our meeting, and it was a while back, we did hear that there would be some voluntary shifts to Greenbag Road, given that it's a better driving condition. And while the MPO did not advocate for the roundabout, we understand the roundabouts are safer and quicker. As opposed to turn signalization, as a rule of thumb, when we plan for signals, we anticipate that there's 2 minutes of delay for every vehicle that's going through a traffic signal, whereas with roundabouts, they move continuously. And so they aren't held up and waiting. So as far as travel time concerns go, roundabouts are clearly more efficient. Just as a note for the comments that we just heard. Just on personal notices for the board, I will be on vacation next week. Let the board know I'll be out of the office. And also the week of the 22nd of July through the 24th, I will be in Philadelphia attending a meeting of the National Association of MPOs Board of Directors. So just to let you know that I will be out both of those time periods. And I think that completes my report.
Okay, thank you, Bill. So we will move into the tip amendments. Do we want to handle these individually, or?
Madam Chairman, I would recommend handling all these TIP amendments as one item.
Okay.
And what these are TIP amendments for the personal rapid transit system requested by WVU. Every year, as you're aware, with Mountain Line, transit agencies go through and receive budgets for the upcoming fiscal year from FTA, and then they amend their TIP to reflect the budgeting items that they've received from FTA. That is essentially what these TIP amendments are simply, they could almost be handled as administrative adjustments, but given the size and the amount under our policy, they do need to be TIP amendments. And I can go through ahead and read these TIP amendments if it's the desire of the board, or since they aren't before you in writing, we could waive that. That's at the discretion of the board.
Why don't we go through them? There's a group online and here, so they don't have it in front.
Sure. For FY 2024, preventive maintenance and infrastructure rehabilitation and rehabilitation, the state of good repair, section 5337, federal funds change from $1,202,245 to $887,577. A total change from $1,503,000 to $745,000 total funding to $1,107,577. And preventive maintenance, infrastructure and renovation, state of good repair, section 5337, change funds from $1,202,245 to $786,748. Total funds change from $1,503,745 to $988,748. In FY 25, preventive maintenance source, federal fiscal year 22, state of good repair, section 5337, change, federal funds change from $1,202,245 to $1,209,121. Total funds being changes from $1,503,745 to $1,514,121. FY 2025 source, FY 24 infrastructure and rehabilitation funding, section community project funds, federal funds $6,400,000, total funds $8 million. These amendments reflect the actual funding anticipated for the PRT in those upcoming fiscal years. And the Citizens Advisory Committee and the Technical Advisory Committee reviewed these changes and did recommend them to the Policy Board for approval.
Okay. Thank you, Bill.
Sure.
Is there a motion to approve them?
Move to
Second.
approve the tip amendments as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I would like to add real quick about the administrative adjustments, because the Policy Board did recommend that we bring forward the administrative adjustments so the public would be aware of them. Exit 152, the ramp improvements, there's a payback of federal funds, and the total dollar cost changes from $1,200,000 to $840,000. The federal cost changes, and those are the federal cost changes. Burris Street, they split the project. Total dollar cost and federal dollar cost. The federal took over $500,000 of the cost for that project. The Greenbag Road multi-use path study and the Greenbag Road design study, which we had in our TIP, as two separate projects at the request of the state, are being recombined into one project per the grant application written by the MPO. There is no change in the dollar amount to those projects. It's simply Federal Highways did not like the idea of splitting the two different parts of this study, the project, into two different studies. The Joseph C. Bartello Memorial Bridge FY24 engineering total dollar cost changes from $250,000 to $338,583. Total federal dollar cost changes from $200,000 to $270,351. And the add 68 exit 7 ramp improvements. Engineering total dollar cost $50,000 and total federal dollar cost $45,000. So those changes were made to our TIP as administrative adjustments.
Thank you. You don't need a motion on that, right?
No,
Just administrative.
those are informational, and the policy board does want us to inform the public of the changes moving forward.
Okay.
Are we going to discuss the tabled amendment about 155? I mean, from the committee.
Yeah, so at the previous,
Yeah.
so at the previous meeting, we tabled a tip amendment for exit 155. There was a committee that was brought together to gather some more information, so I guess at this time I would ask if that committee could report to the group.
Yeah, I've been asked by Chairman Statler, since he can't be here tonight, to report on behalf of the committee. We did have a meeting with the Department of Highways, really to get wrap our hands around the overall Exit 155 project and how it relates to previous commitment from the Department of Highways regarding that project and the grant that was approved. And I think it was a good meeting. Everybody, Russ Rogerson, Ron Justice, I was there on behalf of the commission, well, on behalf of MMPO. Bill was there, Steve Blanco, and Chairman Statler. And we met with a whole host of DOH individuals. So it was a good conversation back and forth about the intricacies of both of the funding mechanisms that we have for this project. It's kind of a unique project. We have one project that has two funding sources, and we're trying to make sure that what's the best way to move this project forward. There's a lot of concern about this project having lagged for more than a few years, and our intent was to really get that back on track. And this tip amendment involved some future funding sources that we are concerned if we let those funding sources, if we didn't take the opportunity to get a commitment from DOH, then we kind of lost a lever that we could pull. And I think we left that meeting with, again, with an update on all the information. Prior to that meeting, we received a letter from the commission, received a letter from Secretary Riston indicating that the state's willingness to be assigned the grant, which is something we requested of them. So that was a big step in regards to the Department of Highways indicating how important this project is. That project has important timelines, that it's not open-ended like the other commitment to Exit 155 was. So I like the fact that we're now staring at possible end dates. So there's a lot of moving parts. We left that meeting with an action item to gather some information for Department of Highways. Yesterday, we met with the developer, and the commission and developer arrived at the information that they were looking at federal match dollars and how we were proposing to match the federal match dollars for the grant, and we provided that information from them. There was a couple questions. We have to go back to Highways, but it is moving forward, and I think and I'll let anybody else tell me differently on the committee, but I think that I would say that it was the committee's intention to recommend to this full board that we go ahead and move forward with this tip amendment, because it doesn't, we've got assurance that our project is moving forward, and this actually helps the state. So If I've said anything that's not accurate, other subcommittee members, please chime in.
I just have a question on the timing, so they're okay now, because, it was all urgency last meeting, so we're okay as far as the timing and all of that goes.
It's
Yeah.
tight.
It's tight, that's why I was
Yeah,
wondering if
to meet the requirements of the grant, it's a very tight timeline.
so we need to do something tonight.
Both of us, in the next action item on behalf of the group is the director will schedule another meeting. We're going to keep those going. We've got a line of communication with the developer. We're continuing with planning. We're moving forward. So this is probably, considering the pace that this project has moved over the past 7 years, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, I would say it's been now at a lightning pace, just based off of the last couple of weeks and the discussions that we've had regarding that. And that's a compliment to both our local group getting together and having one voice and speaking to DOH, and it's DOH putting an emphasis on how important this project is. So I commend both sides for moving this project forward.
The only thing I would add, Sean, is, and this is for people like me that don't fully understand everything, but what this would allow us to do is do all the discussions that have been about 155, the bridges, and the flyovers. And at a rail trail connector that would go up to about the gateway. So that's what we get in this project. And the other thing, a point of clarification, when the grant was submitted, they were asking for X number of dollars.
Total project was 180 million.
Yeah, and so there was about 60 of that or more not approved by the federal highways. And that was the portion that would have taken the road from where the stopping point would be on up Chaplain Hill. So this grant really it was not funded in the grant application period, is the best way to explain it. So this gets us to that point. And so what we need to do moving forward, and I know the commission's talked about this, and we need to move this forward and get this on pace to happen. And then we need to get in a room and have another discussion about how do we connect this to Chaplain Hill and the business park that Craig referenced, and moving that up on a priority list and where we can seek other funding. But that's the best way I can explain it.
Correct.
So,
And to speak to Craig, it's very important when we put the aquatic center up there, and that was before my time when that decision was made, but that commission made a commitment that there would be improved access to Mylan Park, or there wouldn't have been a agreement by W to fund that project, or participate in that project. They didn't fund it to participate in that project going forward. So Commission takes that commitment seriously, and we've been working over the past 7 years to try to figure out how to do that. This grant application was the second iteration and was an opportunity to do that. They didn't tell us till the second, and federal didn't tell us till the second application that, oh, by the way, you can't put money into a non-federal highways road.
Yeah.
And that's why it was a good project, but that's why they couldn't fund that part of it, because it wasn't a part of the federal highway system. But once, we as a commission have decided, when it came to making the decision to sign this grant, that we would accept that, and we would push this project forward, because 155, ultimately, the intersection, getting the intersection done is the most important thing, but it doesn't diminish the importance of eventually improving access to that area. So, and that is a commitment that we've made and we've reaffirmed. It's just, we didn't want to slow this project down by trying to build the perfect beast and get some sort of approval to do that at the same time we were getting this project. It's too complicated to do all that, and we just want to move this forward now, and then there will be a corollary project that over time we'll be looking to finish that.
And we do have a project for Chaplain Hill Road and the Metropolitan Transportation Plan that the policy board could move forward that would address a lot of those issues.
Correct.
And in response to the previous county commission, the road did get improved. I mean, it was a
Yes,
major improvement.
because it couldn't get done in time, the
Right.
commission used Secretary of Highways, the Secretary of Transportation's credit. We utilized local dollars to get him to match a discretionary fund, and they were able, we put $250,000 in, which levered $800,000 on their part
Right.
to do the improvement, because we know that it's an important highway for the school system, it's an important highway for everybody going up to that area, and
Right.
it's
And you got the
only
camp-
increasing.
And the campgrounds coming in is going to make it
Yeah.
even better. So those will be people that,
And the ultimate plan going forward is there'll be two ways to get up there, one through the development and the regular Chaplain Road. So once we get, I mean, and that's what we need, because really, that intersection's a mess anytime Ron has events up there.
yeah. But that's something that hadn't happened previous. I mean, county money and state money, and so kudos to you guys for, trying to work it out.
So I guess our recommendation would be that we would take it off the table and recommend to this body to accept the amendment and move forward. Right.
I move to take it off the table.
Any discussion?
Before we vote on it, I do want to make one important distinction. That collaboration that you talked about was the suggestion of Commissioner Bloom years ago.
I know.
And we did take a lot of beating locally over putting money, giving money to the state that we, locally we felt should have came from the state anyhow. So I give Commissioner Bloom credit for that suggestion, and it worked. And it's worked on a number of projects.
I just
So,
wanted to bring it up because he's used to getting beat up, so I figured I'd...
thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
Now I move that we support it. We took it off the table.
We took it off
Now
the
have to
table,
move
so now,
to support
yes.
the tip.
Thank you.
I would make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Thank you. Next on the agenda, other business.
Oh, we had the
Oh, I thought you had that one. No, you didn't, did you? All right, next item would be the downtown microsimulation study update.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and this is a very quick update. We had a meeting with the steering committee of the downtown microsimulation study last week, where the steering committee took a look at a preliminary problem statement for the study to address what issues, and it's really a combination of pedestrian and multimodal transportation, and safety, and accommodating those modes which are very important to downtown, as well as understanding the impact to the traffic in downtown for any potential changes to the downtown street network. There are various items that will be looked at, such as the impact of Grumbines Island, the impact of proposed new development within the area, and we've had a very robust, actually, public involvement process on that online. Kimley Horn had 70 individual responses to the online map that we've been publicizing, and over 200 comments submitted by the public and to the public, and also responses from various public members to each other's comments. So we've got a lot of good input for that. Our consultants are taking the input from the steering committee, as well as the input from the public, and coming back and fashioning potential alternatives that we can use the microsimulation study, microsimulation software to study and report back to the steering committee on the impacts. So at the next meeting, the steering committee will be looking at those various alternatives, and maybe even combinations of alternatives. What happens if we do X, and also Y, and how they would work. We'll have a very detailed traffic simulation of the impact of those potential alternatives. So I think we've got a good, robust study going, and I believe the steering committee will meet in the next 4 to 6 weeks to take a look at those preliminary alternatives for study recommendation from Kinley Horn. So I think this is a very important project to the community, and I wanted to bring that forward. And once we get the computer modeling done and some of the alternatives looked at, we will have a robust public involvement process as we move forward with that as well, before any recommendations come to this board.
Just to enlarge on that a bit, having participated, I was pleased to see the consideration that was given not only to traffic but also to pedestrian and bicycle in their considerations.
We have stressed with them that those are important factors, and this is a downtown area. The businesses and rely on foot traffic and other travel than automobiles. So we've impressed on them, and I think the Kinley Horn has reflected that concern.
So what is I know you said that right now they're crunching all the data, and the next steering committee, when do you think, what's the timeline?
It's
of
4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
They'll be coming back to the steering committee with potential alternatives to take a look at. And then receive direction from the steering committee on which of those alternatives or combination of alternatives they should prepare a model. The other thing that they're doing right now is they've developed the baseline model, which is being reviewed by AECom as a technical supervisor. We informed the policy board about that, and they are validating the existing network modeling. They are also developing projections for future years' traffic, so we'll understand not only what those changes would impact on today's current travel patterns, but also looking at potential future travel patterns. So it's more than a one-dimensional look at the impact of potential changes on the community and downtown. So we still need to review those traffic volumes, but that's where we are in the process.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Well, I was going to say, on another side of that transportation, I want to congratulate City of Morgantown for hosting the Great Race stopover. This guy right here was handling all of that, but being a huge car family, my son actually traveled with him from here to Frostburg. People in Frostburg, all the participants were talking about how well Morgantown had welcomed them into the community, and they were really impressed. So when those types of events come through, what we need to do is get them so they use this for the overnight stop. So there'll be other ones, different type of car rallies. They call it the Great Race, but it's not really a race. It's more of a rally. But
Do they do that annually?
no, well, annually, but
Can they come back?
not the same.
Maybe?
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why. So
Great.
we need to get them to spend the night here instead,
That's the
going the other way. So
We could be a start point.
Yeah.
We get them for 5 days.
just a huge. I don't know if anybody was downtown when all that was going through. It was packed. And it's a hobby that really grows, nationwide. And they've been doing this for 100 years, probably.
This incarnation of it started in 1985, so I believe this was their 40th anniversary.
Yeah, they were but they did these types of rallies.
About 100 years ago, starting in Europe.
Yeah. Some of them go around the globe. So, anyway, I just
What
wanted-
made me feel really good about it is I'm actually older than most of those cars in there, so
One of the cars was from 1916, so you should.
yeah. I can remember driving most of those cars, put it like that.
When you think about those cars from 1916, the roads we have now would be a piece of cake for them.
Yeah.
They traveled on dirt.
Even Broadway.
Yeah, they traveled home on Broadway.
We could be in the great race, Mike.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're aged enough, we can be in that great race.
But I just wanted
You
to.
just have to make it to the end, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a timed event. You got to go from here to there with exact amount of. cars that win or lose in seconds.
I don't know if you know a school board member, but they have a high school team for the Great Race. So if we can talk to some school board member about
Yeah, I'd be all for it.
getting with them about putting together an X team, I don't know.
It's a good idea. Do an electric one from, well, it wouldn't be old enough, that's all. You gotta go find it.
Any other
I was
business?
gonna say, we kinda got off track there, but I
I
just
do
wanted,
have a question. Recently, I saw that the state is looking to submit a contract on the Walnut Street Bridge. I'm not sure whether it's for engineering only or for resurfacing. And I was wondering if we could somehow petition them for an additional sidewalk on the other opposite side.
That would be difficult given the width of the bridge. My understanding is that advertisement was for redecking the bridge.
I appreciate what you're saying. However, there was a time in history when that was bridge or sidewalk on both sides. So width is kind of questionable in terms of an excuse. I think economy was the original excuse we got for the one-sided trough that we're allowed to walk through now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm chasing the cheese as I walk across the bridge.
We'll certainly pass that comment along, and I'll see what we can do about it. But
Well, the only reason I bring it up is if it's not known, or if you don't make the noise, you're not heard, it's easy to ignore.
and we'll bring that forward. as a
Thank you.
comment.
Madam Chair. I have one other, it's more for informational purposes. I don't know if you've been on 68, but DOH is working on the bridge that's above 68 at Chestnut Ridge Park and Cooper's Rocks. And they have all this construction up, and of course it caused concern from both the park superintendents, wondering what was going on. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Stephen Harris, who's the new interim District 4 director. I requested some information, and within an hour he got back, and he wanted us to know that this is a deck overlay project with incidental joint replacement and C&P. At times, the work will be 24 hours a day, but one lane will always be open. Other than one lane travel, there shouldn't be any change in traffic patterns, and the open section should be a lane plus of the shoulder they're going to use to allow camping trailers to cross, and that was the big concern both parks were worried about. And he'll keep us informed and tell us when the project will be complete. But if you drive by there, you'll see it looks like they're closing it all down, and they're not. So that's for informational purposes.
Thank you. Any further business?
I have one more thing.
Yep, Steve.
In the past, I've talked about maintenance of grass and weeds and things of that nature. We're now at a point where we're a month plus past the primary election season. I think from a safety standpoint, a welcoming to our community standpoint, we need to ask people to start taking the political signs down. They're in a lot of places. It hinders mowing by the DOH, and others, it looks like crap. If you lose a primary election, you need to get out and take that down quickly. The levies that passed or failed, they need to take all their information down. So all around our county, I don't know if that's an MMPO thing, but maybe it should be part of our thing from here moving forward. And maybe the newspaper can put something out and say, take your political signs down. The next cycle's coming up. Put them back in. That's all.
passed
Thank
the
you.
buck to you, didn't he?
Ben got an assignment tonight.
Is there any further business?
I'd move to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Thank you.
They did actually tell me